Hello, welcome back. I am Reverend Dr. Lori Williams. Today I want to talk to you about trust. This is trust specifically in regards to your gifts, your own intuitive guidance, your own intuitive gifts. I have so many clients and so many of my students, and it's very common, but so many clients and so many students come to me and say, hey, you know what? I asked for a sign. Was this the sign I asked for? And I stopped for a minute and I was like, okay, you asked for this specific sign, like you asked to see this specific thing or hear this song or whatever it was. And then you get the sign, but you still question it. And then a lot of people will actually ask for a sign that the sign that they got was actually the sign that they were waiting for. The answer is yes. You need to trust yourself. It's like you're building a relationship with your higher self. You're getting to know who that version of you is. You're building the relationship with your intuition. You've got, excuse me, you've got to trust it 100%. I always tell my clients, more so like my students, working with my students, the ones that I help to bring their gifts through. I always tell them, I'm like, trust everything as if it's fact. Trust every sign you get as if it's fact. Trust every nudge that you get as if it's like the intuitive nudges, as if it's fact. And build that connection with your higher self, your intuition. Once you do that, does it get easier? A little bit. Does it ever stop? Probably not. I mean, I've been doing this work for 10 years and there's still times I'm like, was that an intuitive nudge or I actually have to sit with it for a minute, but it does get easier to recognize what is intuitive nudges and what is just your ego talking to you. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is that they are worried that or concerned that it's the ego and not the higher self. And to that I say the ego, there's two ways to tell it's the ego and two ways to tell for sure that it's the higher self. The ego is always going to force you to stop, and it's always going to be fear-based. If it's coming from your higher self, it's always going to be love-based, and it's always going to spur you into some sort of an action. So if you're like, oh, I can't do that because this, and this, then you know it's A, it's stopping you from moving forward, and B, it's a fear-based. So if you can keep that in mind whenever you have some sort of an intuitive nudge, how to tell the difference between intuition and ego, remember those two things. Ego is fear, higher self is love. Ego will stop you in your tracks and higher self will spur you into action. It's very like giving you like those intuitive nudges to like keep you going forward. You may, excuse me, you may be afraid to go forward, but you're still going to be able to go forward. You're still going to have the guidance that allows you to move forward. So that's ultimately how you know. But I definitely encourage you to build this relationship with your intuition. We're given our intuition for a reason, and you need to learn to trust it. Unfortunately, we live in a society where this stuff isn't taught, and it's something that you got to do for yourself. It's not impossible. It's not hard. It's just something that you need to be consistent with. And it's a matter of, instead of, doubting yourself or doubting the signs or the connection that you have, just learn to start trusting it, learn to have more value for it. And you're going to see in no time how much that connection is growing. Thanks so much for joining me.